HR tech, work tech, and investment are transforming the future of work. Are you in the know? Welcome to the Work Tech Podcast. Join host George LaRocque for expert insights on the trends, M&A activity, and strategies shaping the workplace. Brought to you by oneworktech.com and the Work Defined Podcast Network.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Work Tech. It's George LaRocque, and we've got some really great industry news. Humanly just announced a new momentum round of funding, and as usual, we're going to go direct to the source to learn about the deal and all of its implications. So joining us is the CEO of Humanly, Prem Kumar. Welcome, Prem.
Thanks for having me, George. Excited to chat.
Well, I don't want to bury the lead for too long, but I think before we dig into the details on your deal, for anyone who doesn't know Humanly or doesn't know you, could we start with maybe a quick intro and then we'll get cut right to the chase on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Prem Kumar, CEO and co-founder at Humanly. My background's primarily in HR tech, so worked at Microsoft in HR solution delivery, helped bring in LinkedIn's data set to that team. We've been working on Humanly for about 5 years. We're in the conversational AI for recruiting space. So we help high volume hiring teams automate autonomously screening, scheduling, and engaging with job candidates, as well as components of finding those candidates in the first place.
Awesome. So I know you've had a combination of product news lately and this deal, but let's start with the deal itself. I know it was a momentum round. What was the amount that you brought in?
Yeah, so we raised $7 million. The goal with this money, so we're coming off our two best quarters we've ever had from an ARR growth standpoint, Q4 of last year and Q1. And one big component of what we're doing, we're at the end of the day, we're a data company. All AI companies are data companies, and one of the pieces of investment with this one is building out more channels. And when I say channels, we feel you shouldn't need 7 different tools for two-way conversations with job candidates, whether those are screening conversations, scheduling conversations. Shouldn't need one tool for SMS, another tool for video interviewing, another tool for chat agent screening, another tool for scheduling. So really, anytime you're having a two-way conversation with a job candidate, we want to be there. And so part of this investment is going deeper on the voice side of what we're doing with generative voice AI and the phone side. So for high volume roles, after you get done talking to our chat agent, can we take that next step and have an autonomous phone screen? So the channels piece is one important thing to us. And on the data side, having a relationship with job candidates. So being able to provide value back through career coaching, interview prep, which helps our customers, the employers a lot, because now when you are, I'll keep this brief, but now when you are matching, it isn't matching 2 pieces of paper, a resume / LinkedIn profile with a job description. We're actually having these conversations with candidates ongoing, but as an interview, we're also having conversations with the company. So we're matching on about 200 attributes we get through our conversational components. Wow.
Well, that's you said a lot there. I want to first say congrats, because this market it's confusing. I did our market briefing earlier today, and I was saying the market isn't the same for everyone. And I referenced that some folks have had their best past couple of quarters recently, others haven't, and a lot of it depends on what category you're in and what the tech is that you're providing into that category. What is it about your approach that you think led to that momentum that led to this round to sort of for investors to support the go forward? What is it about Humanly or your go to market, your product? What do you attribute that to?
Yeah, so I think kind of 2 things. So one is we've really found product market fit, and that's helped us accelerate. And a part of that too was there were some gaps in our matching technology, our ability to bring in candidates through running campaigns. So we were co-selling alongside a lot of players that were doing that, so CRM type players. We ended up acquiring a company, Teamable, in Q2 of last year, and the combination of our tools gave us a strong fit with mid-market companies and enterprise companies that had problems around high volume. So that was one piece of it. And then the second thing, which is somewhat unique to us and not the only company in the world, but in doing this, but in markets where you have less jobs, you have more candidates. And our data advantage, and if we're an AI company, which we are, it's the lifeblood is AI, where a lot of AI is data, where we are actually growing our data advantage much faster in markets where it's a tough job market, because there's many more candidates. Almost all jobs start to become high applicant volume jobs. So we had the first experience with this post-COVID when there was a lot of uncertainty, and we're kind of running a similar playbook now.
So, I mean, that sounds like what I've been calling it intelligent friction, which is, on one hand, giving candidates a good experience, engaging with more candidates, and at the same time helping employers, because there are so many candidates, helping them discern, who the quality candidates are, who they should be talking to. Does that resonate with you?
Yeah, absolutely. Our whole thing is every candidate should get an interview, be screened, and can we create an outcome for every candidate? It's not going to be getting the job necessarily, but with Indeed, with LinkedIn, as we've made the barrier to apply so small, it's frictionless to apply to a job, which I think is a good thing. But the answer to that volume shouldn't be how we figure out who we don't have to spend time with just because we only have so much time, but how do we meet that high volume, because it's very easy to apply for these jobs, with high engagement on the other side. So can we allow hiring teams to talk to everyone? If I was going to pick the best person to hire out of 100 people, I probably wouldn't talk to one and just look at a piece of paper representing the 99. I'd talk to all of them. So that's really what we're trying to help companies do, engage with everyone and then spend human time on the best fit.
Yeah. So you talked about a lot of capabilities there. I'm curious, where does Humanly start and stop, or where does it fit within the tech stack or the ecosystem today?
Yeah, our bread and butter is certainly on the conversational piece. So being able to do a screening conversation over chat, SMS, voice, phone. So that's really our bread and butter. So taking candidates, talking to them, engaging with them, and doing the same on the employer side. So we're not just taking a job description, but having an intake conversation over chat. So similar almost to what a staffing firm might do, and then using those to match. So the conversations and screening candidates is really the bread and butter. And then there's things that sit across that. So we're not building an ATS, and partnering with applicant tracking systems is an important piece for us. So we kind of look at applicant tracking systems as powerful tools to manage workflow, report, track candidates, and we're kind of the conversation layer sitting around that. So anytime you talking to a candidate in a two-way format, answering their questions, screening them, and processing them, that's where we come in.
And that's anywhere in the loop. So they might have already, come through, you might have already engaged on the front end screening, and they may be on their way to their second interview or any step in the process. Anytime you're talking to a candidate,
Yeah, this is a good question. So generally our customers they have a few different candidate sources. So they'll have their ATS data, and we can pull that in. They might have employee referrals, so we can have employees connect their LinkedIns also and grab similar candidates. So they have inbound for that particular role. And then we have a large database of candidates. So you have all your different sources of candidates. But if someone's applying through Indeed, they're applying through LinkedIn, they're applying in other ways, they'll still get into the system in that way. We just want to make sure everyone that applies or is sourced via a campaign goes through that two-way conversation before the next step happens. So if you have hundreds of people that are in all those buckets, everyone goes into a two-way humanly screening type interview. And then the ones that are a good fit are placed in the ATS at the appropriate stage and handed off to a recruiter, either by scheduling or putting them in a list in the ATS.
Okay. So a lot of product information there on the front end around, sort of where you're headed. Was that the context for the deal along with the growth, or what brought you to say, now's the time for this momentum release?
Yeah, no, you nailed it. So one was getting repeatability and growth. So, and many of the investors on this round, like Drive, like Bill, like Spark, like Y Combinator, have seen us like getting to that journey. It's obviously can take some time, but can we show repeatability? We are specific in our ICP, what problem we're solving for them, how we find them, so that the mechanics around repeatable go-to-market was a big part in getting there and showing it with results. And then the second was, the product opportunity, and we feel some of the stuff I described before is what I mean by that.
Yeah. So product, is that where the funding is going to go for the most part? Or, do you have any go-to-market investment or any place else you'll be leveraging these funds?
Yeah, we'll have both, including a little bit customer success. I think that the main goal for us is to better serve the market, our customers. So we have our existing customers that we've learned a lot from. Leading up to the fundraise the week before, poor timing, but I decided I want to do product research. So I did a call on LinkedIn to meet with recruiters, and I ended up getting about 30 meetings in a week. And so I managed that along with the fundraise, but we're really trying to hear from our customers and the market at large. So that's really the core focus, and that impacts both go-to-market in terms of selling to the right customers, but also the product. So the product is going to be changed in a lot of ways based on customer feedback.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned customers a lot there and customer success. So what will they see? This announcement goes out. I'm a Humanly customer. What can I expect? How will this change things at all for me, or what will it improve?
Yeah, certainly. One is the actual conversations, screening conversations, the interview conversations that you're having. We are doing those again via chat agent. We're doing them via phone. One is increasing the amount of channels, so you're not having to use different tools for all the different types of conversational interactions you're having. So that's a big piece. The other is quality of candidates. So as we form relationships with candidates and are keeping in touch, obviously following our customers' preferences as it relates to candidate data and privacy, we have a lot of optionality there. But the idea is right now, our goal is to reduce time to hire by about 8x. So going from about 44 days to 5 through the conversational AI and what I described. We'll be able to get there with more customers through the relationships we have with candidates and our candidate data. We're also putting the platform together in a way where we will have very specific stories and reality of how the product works if you're using a greenhouse, if you're using a lever, if you're using success factors. So we've done a lot of work with our partners in understanding things like roadmap, not all of the ATSs in the world we partner with, but for the ones we do, we don't want you to have to figure out, so am I going to have to sign into this tool and then that tool? We want you to work out of your ATS. And so we've done things to make that workflow work, because if it's not in the recruiter's workflow, it doesn't really matter or exist. So there will be a lot of integration related things. We integrate pretty well now, but can we get even more dynamic in what we're pulling and pushing into the ATS so that you can live out of your ATS for the most part?
Yeah. Boy, I'll tell you, it's like you were listening in on the briefing that I recorded this morning. I talked about integration as, it gets downplayed a lot in this age of AI, but it's so key to AI that it's actually, from my perspective, it's actually putting more importance on deep integrations. And this, I think, your platform's representative of part of this shift that's happening where, it's not that the platforms are going away. It's not that the system of record is going to the background, never to be seen again, but integrating through, platforms like yours on the conversational side where, there's a lot of moving parts there, a lot of automation, a lot of data, a lot of intelligence that you're bringing back to the system of record. And that's, you're not going to get there with a simple connector to the ATS. So, and I know you've already got more than that, but that's, it's just interesting to hear you talk about that in the context of the funding. You mentioned a couple investors who led the round this time.
Drive Capitals, they led our last round as well. Chris Olson, their founder, is on our board, so he's been really instrumental in helping us get to where we're at.
Okay. So if this were a new lead, I would ask why did you pick them? But you had already picked them. So what is that for other founders out there that might be paying attention? Like when you say instrumental in helping you get here, what were the bets that you made on Thrive that paid off? Like what did they bring to the table? And maybe how did they surprise you? I don't know if they.
Yeah, certainly. And one thing I would say is, it is very hard, obviously, to fundraise, but it's so important to pick the right investors. And we were actually lucky on this round. All of the investors that led any of our previous rounds all came in on this round. So even Y Combinator, Zeal, Spark. So that was important for us to be with the right group early. So early on, it kind of depends on what journey you're taking. If you are going down the venture capital track and you're looking to create like a really outsized impact, having investors that you get in that are multi-stage investors, it was very helpful. So, for example, when we did our last round, because Drive invests in many rounds beyond that, we knew what the goalposts were. Like, what did we need to show? Where did we need to get to? Which, as a founder, can sometimes be hard to figure. You can read a lot of stuff online, but really just knowing specifically and then getting help in getting there. So I think with Drive, the one thing that surprised me is there's a lot of VCs that are certainly founder friendly, but I think they take that to an extreme in the sense of our board meetings are designed to not make me have to just build a ton of slides to show data. We are sharing data more regularly, so people are just know what the data is. They're meant to make decisions, to support like work. That was a good positive thing there. And I'd say the same for the other investors like Seal, like Spark, and Y Combinator. They've seen these journeys through like beyond where we're at, so getting there becomes easier when you have kind of that Sherpa there.
Yeah, they sound like a patient source of capital. It also sounds pretty collaborative. I always tell folks, you're choosing a partner. This isn't a transaction. This is someone you're going to have next to you for at least the next part of your journey. So I'm glad to hear all that. So I could dig in on so many topics on this deal and on the product, but I know we're about to run out of time. How can folks find out more about the deal, more about Humanly? What's the best way for them to learn more?
Go to our website, humanly.io. We'll also have a blog post about the deal itself, and would love to have you follow us on LinkedIn as well, where we'll be announcing it. And welcome to email me at prem@humanly.io if there's anything I can help your audience with.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for telling the story here at WorkTech, and congratulations again. I know it says a lot that you raised in this climate while, hey, funds are being raised, but, the bar is high. So congrats.
Thank you, George. I appreciate it. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, and thanks everybody for watching. Learn more at oneworktech.com, and until next time.